and not growing if it's below the line. With me? It's fair if it's on this side of that line. It's unfair if it's on this side. We're in that box right now. You don't want to be in. It's flat as a pancake and profoundly unfair. It means it's a zero-sum economy, meaning the special interests are doing just fine. But if the economy's not growing, they're doing just fine at our expense. So we need a leader who understands how you create jobs, who understands an urban agenda for doing that, who understands that as Newark goes, so goes New Jersey. I believe you grow the economy based on two pillars. The innovation economy. We were Silicon Valley before there was a Silicon Valley. We're going to get that back. And that doesn't mean just jobs for PhDs. That means for jobs right up and down the economy. Gale passion persons for vocational technical training. By the way, the Germans do that really well. We could rip a few of their ideas off and do a good job of applying it right here in New Jersey. But get that technology innovation economy back. And boy, we're sitting right now in the city that sits on top of the largest broadband interchange in the world. Working with your fine mayor, a governor who's a partner, can take full advantage of that. The other big pillar in the future of the state, we're going to take advantage of our location. It's that simple. A big infrastructure economy, right? Look at where we are. 49 other states would die to be where New Jersey is. We've got one of the biggest ports of the country. We're sitting next to the biggest market in the world. We're all those things and people, and go to our state every single day. Let's take full advantage of this. Not only is this governor not taking advantage of either that innovation economy or the infrastructure economy, he is disinvesting in those economies. He's taking money from them. Just at the same time as places like Boston, Massachusetts, were investing in infrastructure, in institutions of higher education, and communities where millennials want to live, and public schools, this governor was taking from those assets, canceling the art tunnel, a tragic public policy in the city, taking money from our advantages, not investing in them. So I think those are two big pillars of our future. The mayor mentioned this. We announced an idea last week. I don't want to follow all my ideas, but I particularly like this one. I'm going to advocate for a public bank so that we can take all the money we get to Wall Street and bring it back over to New Jersey. How about making loans to our kids who want to go to college but can't afford it, and they're dealing with loan shark companies ripping their eyes out once they get those loans? It's criminal. I don't know if you saw this a few weeks ago. There was an article in the New York Times about a woman whose son had passed away while he was in college. And she got the quarterly bill from the loan company, the loan shark company, owned by some Wall Street firm, by the way. And they sent the money too. She sent a note back and said, I hate to tell you this, but my poor son has passed on. You know what their reply was? She got a note back saying that those are not sufficient terms to alter, reasons to alter the terms of the loan agreement. You got to be kidding me. I don't even know what that firm was. They don't care about us. They don't care about insurance. A public bank would be commercial, based on commercial terms, so it's also not a charitable organization, but it will care about New Jersey and our kids. It will care about small businesses. I talked about City National Bank when I announced this idea. How about a public bank in New Jersey that feeds money into our community banks, doesn't compete with them, but props them up, and then gives small businesses capital right now that they can execute? Or how about using it as a weapon in dealing with our infrastructure, which is crumbling? Right? So you can see cities and towns taking advantage, again, with community banks of better access to capital. so they can do their families. So I'm a big believer in that. So we got to grow this economy, right? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to grow it. I also said we got to make this a fairer economy. We need a governor who gets that, who will instantly not just grow the economy, but put forth a fairness agenda. On that list would be increasing minimum wage, all the way up to $15. Earning sick leave, not just for some cities, but for the whole state. How about equal pay for equal work? The average woman in the state earns 80 cents on the dollar for what the average man earns for the exact same work. That can't be. Do you know what it is for African American women? It's less than 60% of what the guys earn. And for Latinos, it's even lower. That's unacceptable. We need a governor who's going to put the rules and laws in place that prevent that. Let's increase the earned income tax credit, maybe up to 40. How about a child-dependent care tax credit, and maybe even a caregiver tax credit for those folks who are taking care of their parents or grandparents? A lot of them get coverage while they come up and aren't living. Right now, they're thin home. And I mentioned this already. How about finding ways that are creative, that prioritize our kids, and make college and school generally more affordable? Right? If we believe education is the tragedy in the state that too many kids have the grades, have the passion to go to college, but they can't afford it. That should never happen in the state of New Jersey in 2016. We're going to stop that. That's the first question I asked myself. Do I understand how to grow an economy and make it a fairer economy? Which you know the answer, yes I do. And finally, I asked the following question. What kind of character do I have? What about my soul? I was asked this literally the day that I announced I was running on May 16th. And I'll tell you how I answered the reporter's question. And I'll say it again, I think verbatim tonight. Again, this is a pass-fail. We can't get an A- to the next governor on this one. We cannot take a chance of this. I want to be the governor, and I will be the governor. Remember I said this, that it makes every decision based on what's best for the next generation in this state, not what's best for my next election. We've been kicking this can down the road for a long, long time. And every time we kick it, it takes from our kids' future and it plugs up some lack of discipline that we have today. Nobody's kicked that can farther or harder than Chris Christie. But I'm also here to tell you, you weren't the first one to check it. This has been kicked, frankly, on both sides of the aisle for a long time. Enough already. It is time for governors who have their back in our will. We need somebody who we trust, even when the lights are out and nobody's looking. We need enough of the usual suspects, enough of the same old solutions. Let's reject the sort of machines and operations. It's time for an adult in the room who's doing this for one reason only, that is, I want to serve. I want to serve the people of this great state. Now listen, we have a lot of challenges, am I right? But I'll tell you this, I'm a huge optimist. This is an extraordinary state, filled with extraordinary people. And one of the crazy sources of optimism I have, if we had tried everything under the sun, and we were still stuck in the mud, I'm not sure I had the courage to stand up before you today. I'm reasonably smart, but I'm not that smart. If we tried everything, what more would there be left to do? But you know what the crazy how little we have tried. How little we've tried to have an urban agenda that puts places like New York at the top of the list, and not just as an afterthought. How little we've tried to grow that economy, or to make it fairer, or to stand for the right things, to pass sensible, common sense gun legislation. You know there are more preschoolers killed every year by guns than there are policemen? Do you realize that since 1970, more people have been committed in gun crimes than the entirety of persons in this country who were lost in wars since the American Revolution? That's one example. Common sense gun laws are right in front of us. A common sense plan to grow the economy is right in front of us. What we need is the right leader who prioritizes the right things, who actually cares about all of us, and prioritizes them and their passions and their hopes and their desires. And a governor who has your back. And I stand before you tonight to say, I will be that man. Thank you very much. It's not enough to tell you who I am or what I want you to say. I just got to say this to you. I need you. I can't do this alone. I need your support. I need your support. Not just going to the election and voting, but I need your support then once we win to govern this great state and this great city. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please do bear with us. We had a lot of great questions tonight. We have pulled through the questions. Don't be mad at us. Please, if you go into your question, we try to pick out the questions that represented a lot of other people's questions. So while Phil only has a few questions in his hands, we have a lot of questions in my verse, and they will all be answered. And hopefully, the questions we have picked here will hit the topics that you all picked out.
Mr. Superintendent. Before I continue, I want to give a shout out to Essex, Captain Freeholder, the one on the Grand Hill. Importantly, also the Montclair Democrat Chair. And my dear friend, I got a question from Everett. This is the first question they give me. I'm a little bit having a heart palpitation here. It's about Goldman Sachs. Everett Gregg, where are you, Everett? Did you know I was going to ask this since you wanted to get out before I answer? Are you the only candidate, this is Everett's question, are you the only candidate who's going to run for governor that has worked at Goldman Sachs or on Wall Street? When did you leave Wall Street? These are rather personal questions, I think. I am the only declared candidate for governor. I'm hoping it stays that way. I'm hoping that we'll all move the election up until tomorrow, and I will be your governor. I left Wall Street 13 years ago. So please tell her you're serious. And I can't tell who's going to be running for governor or not. But folks who talk a little bit about it, there's at least one or more folks out there who have experience in financial services and have worked in Wall Street. But I left 13 years ago. I got to go to Diane McQueen, who's got a question about senior housing. Where are you, Diane? Diane, how are you? We got a microphone, Diane. Help. Come on now, Diane.
I also wanted to talk to you about police. unnecessary violence. We are losing our brothers, black Puerto Ricans, all brothers, to police who are supposed to protect us, but they're killing us. This has to stop. My second question is in reference to seniors. Out of the building, the owners are from out of state in New Jersey. They mistreat the senior citizens. Really, the governor is going to put a stop to people coming and taking advantage. Taking advantage of the seniors. We got hurt all our lives. Just got tired to sit back and act and enjoy. Black people, black women, all senior experience are being victimized. Taken advantage of. When you pay your rent, you can't get nothing fixed. You pay your rent, you gotta live with rats. You gotta live with things. You gotta live with people that live in your building but don't pay no rent.
Let's hear it for Dennis. So those are the two tough ones. So let me start with the housing. Let me start with housing first, if I can. Housing. You know, I'm sitting there thinking, you said that the owner of the building is from out of state. I was thinking about that bank that's out of state on Wall Street, where we're sending them our money, and they don't do anything back. They don't come back to us. They don't care about us. It reminds me of privately owned prisons. People who don't share the same concerns that you do, the same passions. It's not set up such that they care about us. And housing, by the way, this is one of the most expensive states in the nation to live. Because we don't have a fair, affordable housing program for the state, a fair treatment of seniors in housing, whether they're in a big senior center like yourself, or whether they own their own home, where the property tax is choking them, and they're being forced to leave the state or sell their house to people that don't want to. It just isn't right. And you mentioned this, and I want to just underscore it. This state got great on the back of our seniors. So it is high time that the generation to follow had the back of our seniors and paid that back justly and rightfully in return. And I will do everything I can to address them. I'm sorry? Absolutely. With a little bit of luck, we'll all be seniors. Listen, we have had an extraordinary couple of years, and not in a good way, since Ferguson. And by the way, the history didn't start with Ferguson, but it feels like the next chapter perhaps started with Ferguson. And as we all know this, there's been one incident after another. And I want to give you a little bit of a sense of how I think about leading and finding common ground, even in something really challenging and tragic, as you rightfully pointed out. And I'll tell you a little anecdote. I found out that the leadership of one of the big police unions and the leadership of the NAACP, Deborah Knapp in Newark, statewide, Richard Smith, and his team had never met. And this was 9 months or a year ago. I thought to myself, you know what? Our task ought not to be bringing these folks together after the fact. Let's bring them together before the fact.
Amen.
And by the way, I say before the fact, before something large scale happened. You all know as well as I do, if not better, that every single day there's the daily drumbeat of gun violence and tragedy in this state. And I don't want to play that for 1 second. But we came together, we brought them together. The state chairman of the Democratic Party, John Kerry, was a great man, and I brought that group together. And there was a great interaction. on things like sensitivity training, on cameras, body cameras and cameras in cars, about independent review of any shooting that involves police, under the theory that we need to manage all that carefully because sometimes there are unintended consequences. But I'm a good believer on the margin that the more transparency you have around this stuff, the better we will all be. Okay? So God bless. We need a better state and a better future for those young folks who are in harm's way. And I believe, by the way, we get a law enforcement professional right here, I believe the overwhelming majority, and you love the law enforcement department, the overwhelming majority, I suspect just like your son, go to work every single day to protect and serve and do the right thing. But we also have to accept that in any community of individuals, there are going to be mistakes, there are going to be bad actors, and we have to face up to that. Let's hear it again for Diane. Her good place. Let's ask Mom right now. Can I get that? The microphone. Thank you very much. Okay. It's Builder, right? Builder, Builder, good along.
Yeah. Listening is a quality. It's a difference between saying, I hear you versus I'm listening to you. Every day I pray for my son as a New Jersey State Trooper. I raised him in low-income housing. I raised him off food stamp. I raised him off publicists. I'm not ashamed. You know what my son told me? I don't care whether they white, blacks, Hispanic, I grew up with all of them. And if I could just write a warning, I'll do that instead of arresting them. Because all these jails is just crowded with so many people. It ain't that serious. I'm not that deep for a board. I want to make a difference. I don't want to just lock people up. Come on now. I was a part of the struggle. And I was all the one forces like that. He's the type of person that when people get locked up and they hungry in the cell, he feed them. Other guys, they ain't beat, they don't care. And I just feel that something needs to be changed because the New Jersey State Trooper, they got paid $1,800 out their check every 2 weeks for medical benefits. That's a lot. My son is hurting. And last but not least, every woman in here will tell you, we don't need no harm, but no one cleans like a woman. When we clean like we clean our house. All the DPWs in the state of New Jersey, like where I work at in hotel, you need to hire women permanent to clean your city and stop cleaning us out.
Let's hear it for Bill and yourself. You know, sorry, we got something more urgent here. I apologize. I'll come back to you in a second. A car needs to be moved. It's a Nissan. It's blocking other cars. The license plate is 538G as in Gary, A as in Apple 2. 538GA2. Bill will refer to something. You get that? Bill will refer to something that I want to come back to. Okay, there are cars that are triple parked that are blocking in other cars. You can get out. Thank you. You know, when you talk about your son and people getting incarcerated, do you know that New Jersey has the biggest gap in the nation between blacks incarcerated and whites? It's a 12-to-1 ratio. 12-to-1 ratio. There are only 5 states in the country that have a double-digit ratio like that, and we're at the top of the list. Something's wrong. I mentioned this earlier in passing, and given the hour of the night of the school night, let's just make this, acknowledge this, that we need a massive wholesale rethinking of our criminal justice system. People who know I've worked in a bank, well, I can ask from time to time, let me ask you a question. How come there are no bankers in jail for almost ruining our national economy? And our jobs are full, and believe it or not, diplomacy and international relations. I mentioned this earlier. On the list of tragedies that should not happen are folks who want to get more education, have the passion and the grades and the right intentions, but they can't because they don't have the money. That cannot happen in New Jersey in the year 2016. We have to say enough of that. We also have to find ways for folks like yourself who have borrowed money to make it a reasonable deal as opposed to a one-sided deal where you feel like you're behind one giant 8-ball for decades, particularly if you're looking for your employment. This notion of a state bank, I like for among other reasons. You still are obligated to repay your debts, and that's the way it should be in life, right? But it's a more reasonable, more understandable, more sensible program. I also, we lead the nation in exporting high school seniors. Nobody does that better than we do. And we lead the nation in exporting college seniors to jobs elsewhere. I'd like to find creative ways to keep the high school seniors here and the college seniors here. And as Dale and I were discussing, to make vocational technical training and community colleges generally more accessible and more viable and more attractive as careers. So for instance, if you decide to go in a field that the state is stressing, then you get a particular break as a result of majoring in the field. Now we do need more diplomats, by the way. So I love the fact you're looking at that. Good question. Let's hear it from Adam.
Two more, and we want to meet the seniors. Okay? Listen, you can remain seated because we're going to bring the food to you. Okay?
Two quick questions and then we'll meet the seniors. This is Maxine Hall, who's going to treasure. Hold on, Maxine. Maxine's got a question about guns.
I would like to know why there's so many guns in the city of Newark that children have guns. And the bar check this out. People want guns thrown in the south, having guns coming to the city. It doesn't make sense when these kids have guns big as a car. It's all about the dollar. They don't care what they sell them because I have friends who got killed on the streets of Newark. And I'm tired of seeing all these young black men fight on some get killed, lose their lives, and they can't stop a lot of things. They can't stop the drugs and they can't stop the guns. So what's going on about that?
How old is this person?
He was 25.
Maxine, how about you? This is a big one, obviously, folks, and you all see this. You see this as clearly, if not more so than I do. And the question is about guns and what can we do about the gun violence. And Maxine, God bless your grandson, first of all. I've got two thoughts. Number one, no matter how good we are in New Jersey, we need a national solution. And I'll come back to New Jersey in a second. So we must, with all of our might, continue to push back as hard as we can against the NRA. It is and the reason I say that, as you know, and we'll allude to in your question, 70 to 80% of the gun crimes committed in New Jersey are committed with guns that come from outside New Jersey. So we need national, federal gun, sensible gun legislation, and we must die trying. We cannot give up. Now, I'm an optimist. I think someday we will get there. You know, it's incredible. The NRA is so effective at humanity. 80-something% of Americans, not just Democrats, believe in mandated background checks before a gun is sold. And yet the NRA has prevented any action ever to be taken in Congress on that. It's extraordinary. Now my second thought is this, while we wait until that better day and fight that fight nationally, let's find ways to be smarter about the gun laws in New Jersey. And this is where I'm particularly critical of our governor. This is one where he's literally said, okay, I'm going to run for president in the Republican Party, which is a very right-wing party nationally, and I'm going to primary, and I'm going to fit my gun policies around that right-wing party and not around what's right for the citizens of Newark and your late grandson and all of us in New Jersey. So this governor has not making this up. This is a fact. He has vetoed legislation that would have said if you're convicted of being in a gang or making terrorist threats or carjacking, you couldn't get a gun. I think that sounds pretty sensible to me, but he didn't see it that way. He vetoed legislation that said if you're convicted of domestic violence, you can't get a gun. That seems sensible to me. He vetoed that. He slow-rolled anything related to smart gun technology, which I'm a big fan of, which means it's got to be your handprint on the gun or it won't discharge. He's not enforcing the laws that will put those guns on sale right beside other guns. I believe we should mandate that background check. Our daughter just got a driver's license. Why do we make her go through a year of training to get a driver's license, and then somebody can walk in and buy a gun without 1 second of training? So no background check, no training. Some folks say it's a mental health crisis. They say it's a law enforcement challenge. Okay? Well, then answer. Put a big fat tax on gun sales and take the proceeds and put them in the mental health programs of law enforcement.
Thank you very much. Listen, Bill will go on the rest of the night, but we have the same, we have the people who have to get on buses. Okay? But I just want to say one thing. When he was talking about the NRA, it's correct. But I want you all, when you go home and you think about Phil Murphy for governor, we know we need to support this man because he has new ideas. But I also want you to be prepared, like Mayor Sharp James said, for those people who are going to come before you and say, you need to vote for this person, okay? They're going to say, oh, he worked on Goldman Sachs. I was sorry that this man was that, but let me tell you something. There's another candidate that's going to announce that worked at Goldman Sachs, so don't let nobody fool you. Bill Murphy was gone from Goldman Sachs for 13 years. Also, that NRA question, there's one candidate who has not announced yet, but he is planning on announcing. And when he comes to Turnpike, I want you to make sure you look at the fact that the NRA is one of the biggest contributors. Okay? So make sure that you get educated about all of the candidates and don't listen to the hype. We want to make sure that we feed our seniors. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to meet and greet, and Phil Murphy will be walking around and speaking to everybody. And those of you who we did not get to your question, there was a question about veterans, there was a question about some other things. They are going to make sure that the questions get answered. But this is not going to be the last time, folks. We're going to have Phil Murphy back in Essex County, back in Newark. And as a matter of fact, one of the things he mentioned earlier was the fact that we have to worry about this year's election. And so in October, we're going to be doing an event so that we can do a rally for Democrats, not